My name is Dr. Crawford. This is my new book, Turn Back the Clock, 7 Steps to More Youthful Living. I want to just mention a few things, and then I'll give you a brief summary of each chapter and what I think this book can do for you. The reason I wrote the book, quite frankly, was I was asked to. I was asked to by countless patients and friends over the years. They would always say, when are you going to write your book? When are you going to write your book? And I wanted to, but quite frankly, I really didn't know what I could do that was different than all the thousands of other health books that were already out there. And I've read many of them and I enjoy them, and it was like, what do I have to offer? Well, I'm happy to say that I think I've achieved that goal of getting something that's different than what's out there on paper, and that could also benefit almost everybody that reads the book. This is not a one-size-fits-all type of book. It's not a miracle cure-all that everybody ought to be doing this or eating a certain way. It's loaded with good information that almost everybody could use, and information that will help you take action and make progress with your health goals, and quite frankly, any other goal that you may have in your life. I'd like to give you a brief summary of what's in each chapter, and again, what it has to offer you. The first chapter deals with the brain. Quite simply, it's this. Your health and your vitality correlates with the health and vitality of your brain. And one thing I noticed with all the health literature that was out there, the brain wasn't talked about a whole lot. It was basically ignored. Well, you can't ignore it if you're going to make changes in your life. You simply can't. So I put it chapter 1 because I really think it's the most important. So what I talk about here in dealing with the brain is things like the benefits of exercise. Okay, and this is not a boring exercise routine or anything like that. I want you to understand why it's important to increase oxygen to the brain, why it's important to normalize glucose availability to the brain. That's the fuel for the brain. It's extremely important, and you want to understand why. You also want to understand what isn't good for the brain. Inflammation is one of the most harmful things to the brain and, quite frankly, to good health. I explain in the book where inflammation comes from. Lab tests that can give you indications of what your inflammatory levels are. And also, what do you do about it? Very important. I give you the tools to change it if it's there, and if it's not there, how to prevent it from ever being there. Feeding the brain. I'll talk about nutrition for the brain. You can feed the brain just like any other part of the body. So I'll talk about nutrition for the brain, and I'll talk about foods that are the kiss of death for the brain. There are certainly some foods and non-food items that people are consuming every day today that are bad news for the brain. So all that information is in chapter 1, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback. I've had one person that called me after reading chapter 1, and they said, you know, that was worth the price of the book right there. That was so much help. Chapter 2 of my book, Turn Back the Clock, is about energy. Energy is everything. Folks, fatigue is the #1 complaint of people today. Fatigue and pain are up there at the top, but fatigue is #1. Everybody would like to have more energy. In this chapter, I talk about the reasons why people don't have energy. I talk about 9 different common reasons that are depleting people's energy today. And more importantly, I'll tell you what to do about it. So we'll talk about the causes and we'll talk about the solutions. But everybody would like to have more energy. And when energy increases, life gets better and progress is possible. This chapter is extremely important as far as what you need to know to get your energy levels up and to get them up fast. We talk about lifestyle factors that are extremely important, and I'll talk about supplements that definitely have an effect to help the body to make energy. I know you'll love this chapter. Energy is everything. Chapter 3 of my book, Turn Back the Clock, is on worry. Stop worrying, start living. Now, why is worry in a health book? Quite simply, it's this. What I'm trying to do is help people make improvements in their life. When one is absorbed in worry, they are paralyzed. They're paralyzed. Worry is an emotion that keeps us tied up in either the past or the future, but not in the present. And generally, people that are absorbed in worry just don't take that first action step, much less the second or third. So I think it's a very important issue when we look at making improvements. If we don't deal with it, because it's one of the biggest sabotagers that there is, then everything else is commentary. It's just not going to work. So in this chapter, chapter 3, I talk about where worry comes from. Why do we worry? And then I'll talk about tools to deal with it. Powerful tools to where you yourself can deal with worry that's absorbing your life and keeping you stuck right where you're at. I'll talk about the physical effects of worry. Worry is a negative stimulus to the physical body. It's not good. So we definitely want to negate it. We want to get it out of our lives, and we want to move forward. But I talk about what it does to your physical body. And then, more importantly, we'll talk about tools. In this chapter, I talk about 8 empowering tools of how to turn worry around and change your life. Chapter 4 of Turn Back the Clock is titled, Watch Out for Gopher Holes. Now, if that seems like a strange title, I'm not going to elaborate too much on it on this video. You'll understand where I get the title from when you read the chapter. But it deals with health myths. I talk about 8 predominant health myths that prevail today, why they're myths, and I talk about options that are much kinder, much healthier that we can take. So it's a very enlightening chapter. People have really enjoyed it. A lot of feedback that I've received has been regarding this chapter. Watch out for gopher holes. I think you'll really enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Chapter 5 of Turn Back the Clock is Nature's Pharmacy. This chapter is on natural medicine. I go into great depth of 10 common ailments that people suffer from, and I give natural remedies for those ailments without prescribing or diagnosing. I give a lot of detail in this chapter on natural remedies and also on anti-aging nutrition. There's many things that we can do to help keep us youthful, and this chapter will give you the tools and the information to do that. Chapter 6 is called Beyond Food. Beyond Food. This is a very important chapter. My goal with this chapter was to answer some of the repetitive questions I've heard over the years. I would hear the same types of questions, for over 20 years. And I thought it was about time that I tried to answer those questions in this chapter of my book. Beyond Food. Now, this isn't a dietary program that I'm recommending here. What I give you here is 6 basic rules of eating that will benefit almost everybody. I'm not telling you exactly what to eat, but these will benefit almost everybody. Now, I do mention a few things that nobody should eat, food and non-food items that happen to be a part of the SAD diet, the standard American diet today. But these 6 basic rules will help people lose weight, they'll increase energy, and people's wellness just will come up by following it. They're simple, they're basic, they're easy. Of course, the problem with simple and easy things is they're also simple and easy not to do, but we will help you, give you some tools, give you some pointers as far as how to implement these things into your life. I also talk about digestion. You can have the perfect diet, but if you do not digest it, it doesn't do you any good. In my opinion, this is the biggest miss factor in all the health books that are out there. They'll talk about foods and they'll talk about how everybody should eat, but they don't talk about digestion. Nothing happens until you digest that diet. And almost everybody, in my opinion, certainly every adult, has a digestive incompetency. I'll talk about why that is, and I'll also explain what you can do about it. And along those same lines, I'll explain the importance of enzymes. Enzymes help with digestion, but they also do a lot of other things. And I'll talk about why enzyme deficiencies are so prevalent today, and again, what you can do about that. So just in my opinion, it's a dynamite chapter. It's great information, and if people interested in enhancing their health did nothing but read this chapter, it would benefit them greatly. The information in this chapter answers so many of the questions that I've repetitively heard over the years regarding nutrition and diet. And that was my goal here. And I thought that I needed to get this out to everybody. So 6 basic rules for eating that would benefit everybody. I also would talk about digestion. And in my opinion, this is one of the biggest missed things in all the health books out there. They talk about foods and they talk about how you should eat and all that, and that's all great. There's some great books out there. But most of them don't talk about digestion. You can have the perfect diet, but if you don't digest that diet, it doesn't do you any good. So I go through the basics of digestion, and I talk about how you can aid digestion. Chapter 7 of my new book, Turn Back the Clock, is titled The Turn Back the Clock Mindset. Now the question might arise, what's this doing in a health book? Well, again, quite simply, I'm looking to help people make improvements in their lives. If the right mindset is not present, that simply won't happen. So I talk about in this chapter, what is the right mindset? What is the right mindset and how to obtain it? How to become aware of your limiting beliefs. We all have them. Where did they come from? Where did they come from? How do we eliminate them? So this chapter is loaded with tools to help change your mindset, change your outlook on what it takes to make progress, to stay with it. And like I say, a funny thing happens that people have noticed, that once they start progressing with their health goals, as simple as it may have started out to be, they find that their whole lives really change. I think you'll love the information in Chapter 7. My book is available through my website, CrawfordNaturalHealthCenter.com. You can get either the printed copy or you can get the e-version. It's available as well. Or you can call my office, 916-962-3101. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know what you think of my new book. I'd love to hear from you.